Hi, everyone. Okay, so today we have a special stream because we have Countess Hugerinna. I've known her for, I think, a year. And for those of you who don't know her, she's an artist, a rocker, a metalhead from Brazil who successfully did a drawing a day in 2022. She's a big fan of Shrek, potatoes, and pizza. And I discovered her, as I said, last year in the first quarter of her challenge. So I pretty much got to see her doing her thing. And I was first attracted by her art style because she uses a lot of black ink, which reminds me of comics. But I kept following her work through Twitch because of her music taste, her rotten humor, and what I call a strong work ethics. I think Huge is a girl that has opinions, and I really like that about her. So that's why we are here. So, hi, Huge. That was my intro.
It's me. I was making gestures while we were talking. The last thing that you said was that I have opinions.
Yeah, you have opinions.
I thought. See, it's funny that you say that. That's something that you like about me because it's like, I usually am like, I have such a big mouth. I can't contain it, so I don't even try. I have such a big mouth, so I'm glad you like.
But I like that. I like that.
Loco just said that that's just a way for you to say that I offend people a lot.
Yeah, you do.
You know what's weird? Like,
right.
I feel like I say a lot of things that could offend people, but I don't think I've had like almost anyone come up to me and be like, "Hey, that's really offensive." I don't know if it's because people know that I'm just gonna be like, yeah, it is. Or I think maybe there's like, it's a numbers game. Like maybe once there's like enough people start talking shit back.
So maybe when you get more famous, we can.
Yeah. Then I can start talking about the people that come after me like pitchforks.
But yeah, I like that about you. I like people having opinions.
Oh, thank you.
And also, you don't seem as someone immature, because sometimes people have opinions, but they are not the kind of person that wouldn't listen or change their mind.
Oh, yeah.
To say something.
I think, like, that's my theory as why I think I don't offend people as much, because I am open, usually, maybe not in everything, but I am open to, like, I'm not saying things to offend people, It's not like I'm trying, like, oh, yeah, I'm just trying to ruffle some feathers, like, on purpose. I'm like, I try to soften the blow a little bit sometimes, And when I think, like, I just said that, like, I can't keep my mouth shut, but I was joking. When I think my opinions are just, like, me just getting really riled up and, like, really in the spur of the moment, I do try to, just chill a little bit before I share them. So I assume that's why you got that impression. All right. Oh, let me just talk a little bit about the picture that I was painting. I went back to playing World of Warcraft after talking about not playing for 1 year and a half.
And that's why we have lost you. Is that the reason?
No, I knew that people would think that because it's like, but it was the other way around. Like, I stopped doing Twitch as much and then I started playing WoW. It wasn't like I started playing WoW and then I did less Twitch. It was the other way around.
But it was a substitute. You did Twitch for WoW.
Yeah,
you abandoned us.
I'm abandoning you guys for, like, elves and orcs. I'm sorry. It's hard to compete against that kind of shit. No, but I think that plays a little bit with what we're gonna talk about today because, like, I went really hardcore for a year and I didn't do, like, a whole lot of fun things. And that's me returning a little bit to my balance of, like, listen, okay, let's have some fun too.
Nice. Okay, so let's start the interview. Yeah. And I want to start talking about your background. I am of your back.
Oh, my back.
Of your backside.
Baby got back.
View. Okay, so I imagine that like many artists, you started drawing as a toddler. Is that true for you?
Oh, I have a picture. If you told me, I would have pulled up a picture like better. But I have literally a picture of me, like little me, like holding a pencil drawing as a like
Oh, that's so
probably
cute.
like 2-year old, you know.
That's so cute.
So yeah, I started drawing very early. You know, drawing, playing drawing, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of natural, a natural thing that everyone does, but people forget. That's
Mhm.
how I think about drawing.
Yeah.
Did you ever think of becoming a professional artist growing up? Or did you dream of other careers?
Yeah. When I was like 9, I was like, I want to be an artist. Like there were other things, like I wanted to be an artist, and at one point I wanted to be a vet, and for a long
Oh, I
time I
wanted
wanted
to
to
be
be
a
a
vet too.
yeah. Well, it's like you're a child, your whole personality is I like pets, and then you want to be a a vet. But
And then you realize that that means watching animals die.
yeah. But it's like artist, vet, and for a long time I wanted to be a rock star. That's why that guitar's there. But I'm like, oh man,
That,
nobody likes 80s music anymore. I don't wanna do this shit if I need to play like whatever's in right now.
so then you change your mind?
No, it was more like when I wanted to be a rock star, it was like a 15-year old, you know, when I was like 17, where we started like really having to choose, I was almost gonna go to computer science.
Oh,
That was like my first option, like, okay, I'm gonna go for computer science. But then I ended up like I didn't go to college. So I ended up like in a limbo for a while until I found like, okay, like I think what I really want to do is art.
that was actually my next questions. Like, if you went to college, if you have a degree of some sort, or do you have formal training in art, or from the start you knew you were going to be self-taught?
I do have formal training, but I don't know what's the name. Like it's not college. It's like a course or something like that. Like the way that I got formal education is like there's a school of art here that you do like a program with artists. So the guy I went for drawing fundamentals, and the teacher is Carlos Luzzi. He works for some of those, you know, like the radicals and those Disney cartoons.
No.
It's
Um,
like I think he worked for the radicals. He worked on Klaus, the Netflix one recently.
oh, yeah, I love that
Um,
movie.
I think the new Mary Poppins. I think he also worked on that. So he's an animator. I learned drawing fundamentals from him.
Mhm. That's nice. And how long was that?
How long was that? It wasn't a very long, like it wasn't like college long. It was like 8 months, I think. But I personally really liked doing it that way instead of college.
Yeah, you're making the best out of your time.
Yeah, and I feel like college sometimes has a bit of a problem where it seems like there's an expression in Portuguese which is basically like feeling sausage, feeling like stuffing, like stuffing a sausage is when you do like things that you don't necessarily need to do. So I feel like college sometimes is like that, like stuffing a sausage, like something that you don't quite need.
But that somehow you're taught to do. Like that's
Hmm.
the way.
Yeah,
That's the path.
you have like a bunch of subjects that you need to learn in college because you need so and so subjects. And I'm like, it can work depending on on what you're studying, but I don't know. With art, I think I thought like, if I, it was also logistically complicated for me because I didn't live in a college town, so I would have to move, and then there's the cost of living there. And at the time, I was already dating Eberon, so a bunch of a bunch of like logistically, it was so many decisions that I didn't want to make that I just stood in limbo for a while. And when I found that school that taught those courses. And what really inspired me in that school is that they had really good industry people. It wasn't like, because I feel like sometimes in college, I don't know if it's like that there, but here there's like one or more federal, they call it federal colleges. It's free, so it's like your state college. It's free and it's a really good college. Each state has it, but I feel like you kind of get, I don't want to say trapped, but you kind of get limited by whoever is living in that state, right? Because when it's like physical, when it's not online education. So I was like, I don't live in like the biggest state, the biggest coolest state. So I have a feeling that they're just gonna have, you know, whatever teachers they have laying around. I don't know if that sounds it might be assholey, but when I saw that other course, not only was it in a big city, like one of the biggest centers here, it was like, okay, these guys and girls, they are the shit, you know? They're the good shit.
Oh,
So I was inspired.
that's really cool. I always thought you were completely self-taught.
Really? No, I went to the funny part is that when I did that course I was already working with art. So I put
That's the beauty of it.
yeah, like I feel like I got to learn a little bit better because I was already working with I not only was I already working with art, I already had like I was already tutoring art. So it was funny. So it was like I'm teaching and I'm learning at the same time.
Really cool. That's the best way to learn, actually. To like you're absorbing knowledge and then you're passing it on, and you learn that knowledge even better for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
When you
sure,
have to really explain it, like in a basic level.
yeah, and I
That's
feel
a
like
hard thing to do.
there's another sense of responsibility too, right? Because it's like, no, listen, nobody's paying for this. I'm paying for this myself, so it's not an option for me to slack off. One, because I'm paying with my own money, so I don't want to throw out my money. Second, I can't not learn this because I need to teach it. So I think that was like, you know, really good motivation.
And how did you become a tutor? How did you become a tutor?
I was just working and literally like, oh, they're putting out my commissions and stuff, and somebody DM'd me, hey, can you teach me art? I'll pay you this hourly rate. And I was like, okay, all right,
Amazing.
sure. Always say yes, right?
Do you feel that teaching changed your mind about anything? About art?
Teaching change.
Like, did you have an opinion about anything that before teaching that you change after teaching?
I don't think so. Like thinking right now, I can't think of anything. I know that just the evolving, right? Like I feel like teaching has evolved my understanding of art, but I don't think it like changed anything that I can remember into anything else.
So you have never given up art?
No, not yet.
You know? No! Remove that yet. Remove that yet,
not
please.
yet. No, never. Once you're past like a certain like once you're past 25, you don't go back.
I don't know. I gave art a chance at 27.
Really? So
Yeah.
you quit for a while and then you went back at 27.
I mean,
Oh no,
like
no,
I
no.
never really quit. I just was half-assing it. Like
Oh no,
I
scratch that.
wasn't really serious.
I did at one point. Like I have the heebie-jeebies and kind of like, okay, I'm not gonna be an artist anymore. I'm just gonna do it for fun now. It was 2018. I was 23, I think. 23 or 24. Why did I forget this? I'm usually good with dates and stuff like that, but I don't remember that. But
But what were the heebie-jeebies about?
okay, so I think it was one of those things like I stressed myself so much with art that I just was like burnt out. And I was like, oh god, it's like I don't care about this shit anymore. But it was like a couple months, I think, a few months.
Okay, it was more like burnout and not.
Yeah, a bit of burnout, I think. Yeah, like I hadn't developed the chops yet where I could like avoid burnout.
Yeah, I understand. That's interesting. Like I was expecting having stories of, oh yeah, I wanted to be an astronaut and that didn't work out, or I don't know. But I
No,
love it. I love that you were so clear and that you went for it.
no, but that's the thing. Like, I wasn't exactly so clear when I was in college age. Like, I was doing art, but for a while I didn't think I was gonna do art professionally. I was kind of in limbo for like, I don't know, 2 years, 2 to 3 years, maybe.
But kind of, it's it's a hard age
Oh, it's
to
the
come up
worst.
with to come up with a decision like that. I think like no one is really ready to make a decision like that, but somehow we have to do it.
Yeah, it didn't help that like when I hit like 17, 18, I got super depressed and I was in limbo for like, I think it was that thing of like the coming of age really affected me. So I was like in limbo for a while, and like as I said, I was like computer science, and then I thought like game design, and then went like
Mhm.
from computer science to game design, I went to like I think I just want to be an artist. I just want to do maybe like graphic design, because that's what you. I think you did. You go to college for graphic design?
I did architecture.
Oh, architecture. Yeah, I was on that limbo, right? I'm like, should I do like architecture or something?
Yeah, I know. I thought architects made drawings, but I was wrong. They don't know
It's a
how to
lot of
draw.
other things.
It's a lot of other things. Super technical,
hmm
not so much artistic.
I do feel like it's because my course was art, was like drawing fundamentals, but it's like perspective and things like that are pretty technical. I don't think probably the level of architecture, because architecture you need something that's actually gonna work in the real world. But I'm fond of like perspective and things like that. Actually, a lot of people hate it because they say it's like, oh, it's like math. I don't like math. I don't think it's that much math when you're just doing like for artistic perspective for artists. But I'm fond of it. I do like it.
Yeah, I actually don't like it, but I don't think it's. But
It's normal. It's
and
normal.
I was taught about it in school, and I didn't find it to be so hard. Like,
No, it's. I don't think it's hard either. Like it's.
but I didn't like it like it.
What I like
Uh,
about it is that it's something like very like black and white. Like, okay, this is.
yeah, exactly. That's why what I mean when I say that I didn't find it that hard because it's
Mhm.
formulaic.
Yeah, that's what I like about it actually.
Okay, so let's talk about your challenge.
Ooh.
Was the challenge called 30, 365 days of schools, or did I just make that up?
Wait, sorry, go on. So can you say it again? I was looking at your chat and distracted.
Ah, okay.
Because everyone was talking
Thank
shit
you.
about me.
Thank you
He was like, it
for
didn't work
looking at my
out.
chat.
He was like, it didn't work out to you to be a rock star. I'm like, listen, there's still time. Just kidding. Can you ask me again,
But
Franz?
no,
Sorry.
thank you for checking on my chat because I'm not.
Oh, there's some people trying to sell like
Sorry, not sorry.
Bitcoin in there and posting nudes.
Sorry, not sorry, chat. What was I saying? Oh, I said, was your challenge called 365 days of schools, or did I make that up?
I don't think I gave it a proper name, to be honest. Like, I just said, like, my challenge. 300. I always say
Okay.
365 challenge, like, but I don't know, I didn't really give it a name.
um, how long had the idea of making and sharing daily drawing like been brewing in your head before you actually do it, or
Like half a
was it
day, I think.
impulsive? Half a day.
No, it was like maybe like 3 days, like a week. It wasn't very long. It was like I was on my end of the year break, and I think I saw somebody posted on Instagram like, oh yeah, I did 365 days of painting, and I just ended this, and I'm like, you know, I'm not sure what to do, so maybe I'll do that.
Oh, because you mentioned on your last post about from the challenge that you just were looking to do a hard thing. That
Yeah, that's. I think that was the point. Like, I was like, what do I do? Like, this looks hard. I don't know. I don't know what to expect from this, but like, just because it's hard, it's probably gonna be worth something.
okay, but did you have other ideas lined up about doing something hard?
Oh, you mean like if I was comparing to other possibilities, like, this is hard, this other thing is
Yeah.
hard? Not really. It wasn't really too premeditated. I just looked. The idea popped in my head, and then like it came back the next day, and then the next day I was like, I think I'm gonna do it.
Wow.
It was
And
kind of like
have
a
you done
fast
that
one.
before? Are you like that for other decisions in life?
Kinda. I think depends on the decision, but you know, some things I mull over a little bit, but It's like it's like depending on the thing. Like I know myself. I know that I'm not gonna let it go if I don't do it.
Hmm. So you were worried that this idea was going to haunt you?
No, I think I just honestly I think it was really impulsive. Like I don't think I thought about it too. I think if I thought about it, I wouldn't have done. No, I'm kidding.
I'm
I'm
pretty
kidding.
impressed.
I was just like, I want to do something. Like I was bothered because I couldn't post. Like I always was really bad at posting on Instagram. So I was like, it's bothering me. I'm gonna do something about it, and something big and extreme about it. Because I was like, oh,
Do
listen,
you
if I go this
yeah.
hard, it's not gonna be a problem anymore.
And do you feel it helped your account or your
Honestly,
posting habits?
not at all. Like the account, like it grew very little, but I think it improved my relationship with the people who were already there. But the posting
Mm.
habits, I think it did because it was like after you post like 365 things in a row, like you don't really care that much about what you're posting.
That's interesting. Okay, I have another questions. I know that you are into life coaching. Well, maybe not into, but at
Yeah,
least
not
you
not
know about it.
publicly, not publicly on the internet.
I'm not publicly please, Franz, shut up.
You're bringing me out of
Don't
the
ask
closet.
that question,
I
please.
like. Listen, guys, I like Karen podcasts. Okay, I like self help shit. Okay, I do. Go on, you can ask. I don't mind. It's fine.
Okay, so I know that bit about you. That's how I
Hmm.
discovered Huge, by the
Yeah,
way.
we
I
know
found
somebody.
her. We know somebody that
It's a
that's a life
dealer.
coach.
It's our
And
dealer.
um okay, so for the I'm going to talk a bit about that. So there's the work of this woman called Brooke Castillo, and then she created something. Well, she didn't create it. She kind of just summarized all her knowledge into this thing called the model. And the model is a concept that your thoughts create your feelings, and from your feelings you take your actions, and your actions create your results, and those results usually prove your thoughts to be true. So knowing that, I have two questions.
Hmm.
The first one is, how did you get to know life coaching? How did you get into that? Because I'm curious about it. And the second is, what would you say were the thoughts that created a full year of drawings?
Okay, first question. It was just because of Katie, because I followed her art, And then I saw her start talking about it, and she started making videos about it. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I was already into that kind of stuff. Like I was reading like Think and Grow Rich and all that kind of stuff already. So I was, it was a fertile ground for that, I think. So when she started posting about that, I discovered the whole podcast and stuff. And the second part, what was it like? What thought I was thinking when I did this?
What thoughts do you think created like this result? Like, what were the thoughts that carry you on to successfully achieve the challenge?
Let me think about this for a second, because I don't think I ever thought like specifically one thought.
Yeah,
but one of them was like
thoughts.
do hard things. Like I honestly believe that it's very important for people to do hard things in life, and I feel like it's something that it's kind of like out of fashion in some areas. Not with like, some people that still do that a lot, of like the business people and the like bodybuilders and all that people. So you still have that mentality in like bodybuilding, and some people who are very into business like are kind of like, oh, do hard, be hard and all that shit. But I feel like on my side of the world, maybe as an artist, I end up getting a lot of content about like, be kind to yourself, be soft, it's great to be soft and squishy. And I'm like, I don't like that personally, very, very much. I'm a firm believer in like hard times create like what is it? Hard people create good times, and good times create soft people, and soft people create hard times. So I think it's something that I already have like inside of me. Like I obviously not to an extreme. You need to have balance. But yeah, I think I'm kind of tired of that shit. I'm like, let's be soft, guys. Take care of yourselves, okay? Like mental health. I'm like, what's great for your mental health? Doing hard shit. That's great for your fucking mental health. What's not great for your mental health? Going to eat chocolate and watch Netflix all day. That's terrible.
Yeah, like it's kind of like thinking of doing hard things and getting uncomfortable as a way of taking care of yourself.
Exactly.
Right? It's like reframing what self-care is.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's not self-indulgence.
Yeah, and I'm like, when I say like do hard things, oh no, I'll splat. I do like Netflix and chocolate, but like in moderation, It's great to watch Netflix and eat chocolate after a hard day of work, for example. But yeah, it's not self-care is not self-indulgence, right? And being hard on yourself is also not necessarily self-punishing. Cause I'm not hard on myself like, oh, for me to do that challenge and things like that.
Yeah, like you're not shaming yourself into it.
I'm not
You're still giving yourself grace.
I'm doing no, actually I wasn't giving myself grace because like it was very I didn't miss a single day, right?
Yeah, I know, but you are giving yourself grace in the sense that you are okay about making shit. Like about making garbage.
Yes. That's how I got through it, because I didn't care if like I had to draw every day, and that was hard, but I didn't care if it was bad at all. So that was my point of grace. But like I've had the question like, oh, if you miss a day, do you forgive yourself? Like, no, I don't.
Because like, I'm not missing a day.
Oh. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm not gonna miss a day. Like it's not in my radar even. Like it's not a possibility for me. Because if I miss a day, I failed. I failed the challenge. That's the point of the challenge, to draw every day. For me, this was my point. And I feel like
so there are the thoughts. The thought of
yeah, we're finding them.
Missing a day is not an option. It's okay to make garbage and post it. I think the brave part was actually sharing it. I mean, it was hard. Everything was hard about what you did. But you can show up to your art and do it, and then you have to share it, and like that's the hard part about making shit, that none of us want to say, I did this crappy thing, look at it.
I'm trying to think about like take my mind back, but honestly, I think to me the hardest part was doing it rather than sharing
Than
it. Like
sharing
the only thing I cared the most is because nothing is like black and white. I'm not gonna say like I had zero self consciousness about the shitty drawings, but it was pretty close to zero because some of the shit that I shared was really bad. Like I feel like it was complete garbage, and I don't think it bothered me that much. What really was hard to me was like I need to do this every single day because
Oh yeah, that's true.
because to me it's like, listen, it's one thing to do something every single day of the week, but when you have to do it on Sundays, when you have to do it on days where you have to catch a flight and you're drawing at 2 a.m. and you need to wake up at 6, that's when it's hard. I think I got used to like posting shit. I was like, whatever. Like you're looking at shit. You're looking at shit. It is shit. Whatever. You're not gonna
This
die.
is what you get today.
Yeah, this is what all you got today from me. All right. So to me, I don't think the hardest part was sharing, but sharing was the accountability thing. Because like I was like, I will not fail in front of these people. I will not. Because if you're doing it just for yourself, like you always give yourself more grace, right? Like nobody's watching. I can miss a day or two, but like if everyone's watching, you're like, I'm not gonna miss a day. I'm not gonna miss a day because then everybody will see that I failed.
I don't know, that takes courage too, because I disappoint people every day. Like I have a 2-year challenge that is taking 3 years. So,
but I do that too. Like I've had challenges that I failed publicly, and the truth is, I don't think anybody cares.
No, one has to care.
Maybe,
that's the thing.
Maybe I do notice when people fail. Honestly, I'm like, oh, look at you, and I know people do too. Okay, I know if I do, people do too. And I was like, So for me, as a like personally, I think I take way more pride in being like a person who endures than being a person who draws perfectly. Right? So like it would hurt my pride way more to fail an endurance challenge publicly than it would for me to draw something ugly in public. Because I draw something ugly, like I draw ugly things on stream all the time. Does it always not bother me like even 1%? No, it bothers me, sometimes 5%, sometimes 10%. But I'm like, listen, whatever, it's what you get today, okay? I'm not a machine, okay? Some people call me a machine. I've been called a machine a few times, but I'm not actually a machine. But whatever, it's ugly. What you gonna do? I dare you to tell me it's ugly. Then I tell you to eat shit. That's what happens here. People do. They came here like, this is ugly. I'm like, well, who fucking asked you?
Or you can say, so what?
Yeah, so what? You
what?
pay me? You pay me? When you pay me for this shit, you get to tell me it's ugly. So I'm fine with that, I'm fine with doing ugly shit. But to me, like, I'm like, I don't want to be chicken. I have that Marty McFly problem. Like, it's really bad. People are like, oh yeah, they dare you to do this. I'm like, oh yeah? No, I'm kidding, not dare you, but like, I don't know, like, if I was just telling Abra about this. I have a funny thing where if I'm confused and I don't know what to do, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do it. But like if I'm doing a course or something that I signed up for and like the teacher says like you gotta do this thing that you don't wanna do, I'm like, I feel like you're chicken McFly. Don't you call me chicken. I go and I do it because I don't wanna be chicken.
I'm a bit like that too. Like if I'm challenged, it's more likely for me to do the things.
Yeah.
As you say, out of pride.
Yeah,
it has to do with our self-image. Like, you are not a coward. That's not part of the identity you have created for yourself.
Yeah, and sometimes that can actually backfire against you, right? Just like on Back to the Future, where Marty, the second one, where Marty, because he was so afraid of being chicken, he went on that race thing, the drag race, and he fucked up his hand. So I try to be careful with that too, like not be stupid.
Yeah, because you know yourself. That's also part of it, knowing yourself and acting in accordance, and like setting yourself for success.
Yeah.
That's nice. Someone asked something on my chat, and I'm going to go ahead with it.
Yeah.
It says, what about the artists that never finish their pieces and only post unfinished ugly stuff, asking for a friend?
For a friend. Do you want to go first or I go first?
Okay, I'm going to go first because I do have an opinion about that.
Go.
And I say that you have to finish your artworks, or at least call them finished. Like psychologically, even if they are a sketch, said this is finished. Because I think there's a satisfaction, kind of a pleasure in finishing things the same way you finish when you have sex. It's like an orgasm. You have to have that orgasm.
Listen, Franz just said that you gotta come all over your art. That's her words.
Yeah, you have to come. You have to finish. Because how are you going to have pleasure and then you don't finish? Then you're going to attach that dissatisfaction, because you are dissatisfied, with drawing. And then you don't want to come back to it, because it is this thing you never finish. So that's why I say you have at least to call it finished. Like, you just abandon pieces and call them finished. That's my opinion.
You finished? Your
I'll say no to blue balls. Not finishing your drawings is going to give you blue balls.
Did you orgasm your thoughts there? So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here because I think I have a little bit of different opinion.
Nice. Love that.
I think it depends on what your objective is and what phase of art you are in. Because I mean, I think that could go as you said, as like you decide that it's finished. So if you can decide for it to be finished at any point, like I get you. But I feel like depending on where you are and what you are learning, sometimes it can be useful for you to like do a lot of the early exercises early on. Like, let me give this painting as an example. So when you're learning to paint, like it's very, very good for you to do like a lot of exercises of the really early phases of just separating things by values. And I think that if you're learning that specifically and you want to finish every single piece that you're doing, I think you're at the beginning you're gonna get in your own way. Because you need to practice the beginning stages. Like you need to do a lot of that. So if you try to finish every single piece that you're studying, you're, depending on where you are, maybe you can be a little bit unproductive. But if we're talking about like you set out to do, in this case, you set out to do a study, so you could technically say, okay, but that's finished because it accomplished my objective, right?
I love it because I feel that you're giving him actually useful advice.
Actually, it's because like I feel like
but yeah, I get you.
I feel like I'm being more like art study side, right?
I love what you said about it. Trying to finish a piece can be unproductive because you're still not at the level that can finish the piece, and you're just like wasting time. Like you still need practice, so you can call it finished by saying this is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. That's why I said like, oh, like if you set out to do that, then you could call that finished. Like, oh yeah, this study is finished because it's meant to be a study. I also think it's a very important thing for you to know what you're doing and decide beforehand, like, my objective with this is to do studies, or my objective with this is to do a whole piece and finish it, right?
Or I just want to have a good time, and that's it. If you didn't finish, but you had a good time.
You guys are having good time with art? No, I'm kidding.
I do.
You guys are having fun?
Yeah, I do. And I am an advocate of having fun. I think that are like, what's the point of me pursuing art if I'm going to be miserable? You know? Like, if I want to be miserable, then I'll go back to architecture and make money.
You know, it's really funny because, like, just the other day I was like, I hate fun. I hate fun. I hate fun.
What?
Listen, okay, I'm gonna again. It's good that we're like. I feel like in these past two opinions, we're like productive opposites, right? Not like the opposites where we want to fling shit at each other, but we're bringing like two sides.
Yeah.
You know, it ties in with all the things of like doing hard things, right? I think sometimes I feel like not having fun is fun. Ergo.
Yeah.
Bear with me. Like, I don't usually like to say, like, let's just have fun, because I think that has a tendency of being misconstrued. Like, I've seen a lot of artists. I'm gonna sound like an asshole, but like you said, you like that I'm opinionated. But I've seen artists who are advocates of just having fun. Like YouTube people, you know, that I'm like, I don't think you're a role model for artistry, you know? You need to know what you want. Like, if you want to make art for fun, then you should absolutely do it. But if you, like, I feel like the school that I went to was very, like, market oriented. So the mentality I learned with art was very, like, try to be productive, try to hone in your craft as much as you can. And I feel like if you always just want to have fun, you might not want to do the hard things that you need to do, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get you.
It's
about
me.
Balance. I was just more thinking about, because there are artists out there that are really miserable. I was thinking more about them. Like you have to find the balance, because having fun at all times is actually wishful thinking. It's not possible. And
right?
everything in life has a shitty side. But there's people that really kind of forget at all about the fun and doing the things they want, like just to please, or like to chase money, or their idea of what's popular and what's going to make them money.
Like people please, but with art.
Yeah. So I was thinking more about that, like.
No, but I think it's good that we have like the opposite sides, because I feel like that's like the earth balancing itself, right? That's why we have humans who are so different from each other. That's like our way of balancing ourselves. Like, you need day and you need night.
But yeah, I agree with your point of view that if your pursuit of fun hurts your art skills, then it's not helpful. It's kind of not, like, if you're just having fun, it can be a disservice to you.
Yeah, you need, like, I feel like if you need to know yourself, like, are you a person who tends to be too hardcore? I think that changes in life too. I don't think it's like black and white, like you're just one for the entirety of your life. But you need to know, like, do you tend to be somebody like right now? Do you tend too much towards like laziness, take everything too easy, or like you're giving yourself like an ulcer because you're stressing yourself too much? And whatever you do, like, go the opposite way for a little bit of balance.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why I'm playing WoW, because I'm like, I was on the other side. Like, I almost didn't do anything for fun. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna watch TV because I can draw while I watch TV, right? I can be productive.
Can be productive.
And I found that the balance actually helped me, because, like, you see the thing that I'm drawing right now, I wouldn't be drawing it if I wasn't playing WoW and getting inspired.
Oh, by the way, the person in the chat said, "You're right. I need to go back to the basics. Thanks for the advice."
No
So,
problem.
yeah, thank you.
Really,
See, you're wise. That's why you're here today.
I try some. Oh yeah, you're wise. Me making fart noises and laughing about poop.
That's the fun. You see, that's the balance.
The balance. No, but yeah, I love to help whenever I can. Really, the basics. I have so much to talk about the basics because I love the basics. I think because they're called basics, people have this tendency of like feeling like they don't need it, right? Oh, that's basic. That's for children, right? Well, like, listen, the one
Oh no, we need the
who's great,
basics.
the one who's
We
great
need the
is
basics.
the person who mastered the basics, not the person who tried to skip that. That's why, like, drawing fundamentals, I'm like, oh, how do I learn to draw? Drawing fundamentals. Listen to me, fundamentals.
Like, did you know that the way you hold your pencil changed everything? And that's a basic. Yeah, I took a basic course online that about basics, about people that didn't draw at all. And I was already drawing. I was already taking art seriously, and I took that, and he was like, "You can hold your pencil like this, you can hold your pencil like that, you can hold your pencil like this, and please warm up, do circles, do lines, do it." And I was like, "You have to do this." That
Absolutely. That's like basics.
it makes the difference.
Like, it does. And one of those guys, I didn't study under him, but he was also a teacher at that school. He works for Blizzard a lot nowadays. He was the guy from the painting course that I initially wanted to do that one, but then I moved to drawing fundamentals. And it was really interesting because I discovered that like it was like a secret society because every artist that I admired a lot, Brazilian artists, I discovered that the thing that they had in common was that they were all students of that guy.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's like the peak of destiny of art, Brazilian art. And
You have to give me his name.
I'll write it down. It's Carlos Lucy, but I think he only teaches in Portuguese.
That doesn't matter. I'll look his work.
Yeah, and then I was like, I discovered everyone was like, oh yeah, I did drawing fundamentals with Lucy. I did drawing fundamentals with Lucy. I was like, oh, that's the peak of destiny. I need to study with him. And the other guy, the one who does the painting course, he describes it in a way that I really like getting better at drawing. It's like, it's not like you go past the fundamentals ever, like, you know, perspective, anatomy, gesture, all that stuff. It's like you are going on a spiral upwards. So you see like anatomy when you first start, and then you see anatomy again and again and again, and each time like more advanced.
Yeah, and it's kind of sometimes it's not as much about learning and getting it right, but about catching yourself making the mistakes.
Wait, I don't
And you
get
say,
that.
I kind
Isn't
of
that the same thing? Like part of it?
no. Well, it's part of it, but I think that sometimes people have this idea of I'm going to learn this and then I'm going to do it and it's going to look great, and it's not so much about like doing it great, but catching yourself doing it wrong.
Yeah, but that's part of learning, right?
Of learning. Yeah.
Osplat says, why catch yourself making a mistake when you can think about it at 3 a.m. several years later?
Oh no, that's called anxiety.
Do we have any more challenge questions?
Yeah, I have 3 months have passed since you finished the challenge. Has there been a situation during this time, artsy or not, where you used the skills you harvested during the challenge?
Oh yeah. I think the thing about doing things that are hard is that I saw a guy talking about it on YouTube, and he was like an athlete. I think he ran like marathons, and he said something about like when you do things that are hard, like life is gonna be hard eventually. You know, to all of us, you're gonna have hard things in your life. So when you do hard things willingly, it's like you're practicing being resilient for when things invariably become hard at a moment. And I feel like that was it with drawing. I did it with drawing, but if something is hard in my life, I can think back to that and be like, oh, okay. Like about drawing specifically, I was having some. Like, I always end up having trouble because when you're really committed to learning things, like you're gonna go like this, right? Like it's gonna be a fucking roller coaster of emotions. So whenever I'm like in the low, which was like maybe like 3 times a week, I think like, oh, but like, okay, I don't know this thing now about painting that I wanted to know. I could just go and do a challenge, right? Challenge myself to like do these studies, and then I will invariably end up learning something.
I don't remember you making studies during the challenge. Did you? Did I miss that?
What do you mean? Like doing studies in general?
No, like for the challenge.
Well, I did. I just didn't post them because they weren't part of the challenge. But that's not what I meant. Like what I meant is
Okay.
like when I don't know how to do something with drawing, I'm like I need to do studies, right? And then if I don't feel like doing studies, I'm like, oh, I can just challenge myself to do studies because I'm gonna do it.
Okay. Like just to play with yourself. Like I'm challenging myself to do this. Like tricking your brain into it's not that I can, but
yeah,
are you saying that I can't?
I think it was something like, oh, I don't want to do these studies because I feel like they take so long. That's something I'm learning right now, patience, because painting takes a lot of patience.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like I can just see this as a sort of challenge. Like instead of me being like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to do it. It takes too long. I'm like, bitch, I challenged thee to a paint off.
I saw a YouTube video recently of a girl talking about how we always say things like, oh, I can't do this. And then she's like, but can't you? Like, really? Like, people saying things like, I can't jump off a plane, but can you walk? Do you have the capacity of walking? So then you can take a step. You just have to take the step off the plane. Or have someone push you, but you can. You don't want to.
I'll push you.
That's different.
I'll do the pushing.
Like like knowing the difference between I can't and I don't want to, or I'm scared to.
I've seen a lot of things about that one. I like that too. Like I was like, can't you, or do you just not want to? I do that like constantly in my life. I'm like, can't I, or I don't think I even say like I can't very often.
It's amazing.
Because I'm self-conscious about that. Like, can't I, or do I just not want to? And I feel like at first people are kind of reluctant to take on that mindset because then like responsibility is on you until you realize that that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Because when people stripe away your excuses, you learn that you can, like, first you learn that you can just say I don't want to, right? Nobody can.
Yeah, and that's okay.
You. Yeah, I don't want to.
You can be okay with that.
Yeah, you can. You cannot want to do something, right? Like I don't want to like kids, and I'm not gonna make myself like kids, right? There's things with art that I don't want to do, and I'm like, if I decide to not do it, whatever. But I'm not gonna be like, oh, I can't.
What things in art you don't want to make? You choose not to make.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I choose not to make.
But why? What?
Oh, it's
mention a few.
I thought it was like rhetorical. Like, yeah, like you. Sorry, now that I know it's a question, I need you to repeat it. I thought it was rhetorical. Like, yeah, but like if you, yeah, I was like, oh, it's me. Like it's you is me. It's a
I'm
question.
interviewing you.
Please repeat it. Please repeat it so I can formulate it better.
Yes. Let's do this again. What type of art or themes you don't want to create, you choose not to make?
Okay, this is gonna be a moment where I'm gonna apply my like mouth shut technique because I feel like this can get offensive really quickly. But let's just like in a generalist term say that like there's a lot of things that are in fashion right now that I think are complete bullshit, and I don't want my art to bend down to that. Things that are like in fashion, especially in fantasy, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to. And sometimes it can be hard because when you see like, okay, this is like the standard right now, and you gotta do that for money. I'm like,
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said that you have to follow the fun, in the sense that
yeah, in that sense, I do agree with you. Like, I'm like, okay, we need boundaries, okay? Like,
exactly.
let's just say that like what's in fashion like politically right now, like art wise, not usually what I like. So like I don't like making political art. I don't like that shit, so I'm like, I'm not gonna do it.
I also think you don't want to make anime and that kind of stuff, right?
Oh, I absolutely like no fucking I like.
But would you be open to
No.
making an anime character in your style?
No.
Or
No, yeah. I've done that before. Because like
Okay,
then it's
okay.
not like I'm still like I do it, but I'm like I'm gonna complain about why I do it. I've done that before,
I
like
feel
on
you.
stream even.
I feel you.
Yeah, but like anime is like no. It's because I don't. It's because that stuff that I'm talking about. I feel like it's very in right now. It's like the new standard for everything. While anime, maybe unless you're like a mangaka in Japan, it's always the art style. Listen, I'm gonna offend a lot of people. Get ready. Get ready. Open up.
Brace yourself.
Brace yourself. Anime, if you come like into the industry and you're like, oh yeah, I draw anime, usually people are gonna be like, are you 12? It's not something that is like, oh yeah, this is very required right now and everyone respects and pay for it. It's like, yeah, anime. Nobody wants you to draw anime. But when it comes to the other stuff, I'm like, yeah, I feel like it's everywhere, like in the gaming industry and stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think that anyone that takes themselves seriously, even if they do an anime style, describe themselves as I do anime.
Yeah, I think there's a stigma, and I support that stigma. Because I don't know, I feel like, listen, I feel like bear with me because I don't like anime, I am curious with art that sometimes like I'll watch like this is a documentary about like an animation studio in Japan. Even if I don't like the anime, I like seeing the artist's work. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like to be taken seriously as an anime artist, it's usually you need to be there, right? Like working in Japan. I could be completely wrong because as I said, I don't know much about it.
But yeah, I get you. Like, it just makes sense that you want to harvest the skills for the industry you're interested in.
Yeah. Oh, also, unless you draw like porn, I feel like there's some respected like porn hentai artists.
Oh my god! The only thing I don't like about anime art, in general, I don't have a problem with it, but there's a certain kind I do, and is the ones that do full rendering and like super 3D kind of
Yeah, those porn artists
photographic, and then they do the flat face. That I hate that. Like, oh shit! Like, come on, do everything flat or
Listen, since we're talking about this, I'm gonna say like one of the reasons I really hate anime art is that like I don't like kids, and there's a lot of things that I don't like the cute things. Not everything. There's some that I think are fine. But what really disturbs me in anime, it's like, okay, this is like a woman with like huge tits and a 2-year-old face. I'm like, this is disturbing.
Yeah, it is disturbing.
Like,
Give some cannibally.
I know that there's some animes that have like old men that look like old men, and like 80s anime where women look like grown women, and I'm like, I can respect that much more. What creeps me out is like, why does this person that is 33 look like a toddler?
And talks like a toddler.
Yeah! Creepy as shit.
It is creepy.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Like, if you draw anime, Good for you. Okay?
But be clear about your reasons.
Be clear about your reasons.
Okay. Do you miss doing the challenge? Are you still drawing daily?
Oh, I
Or
draw.
yes, no.
I absolutely do not miss my challenge. But I don't think I draw daily, but I draw very frequently. I like to batch my activities, so sometimes like it was really taxing to me that it was a day where I needed to run errands, and then I had to come home and draw. Because I much prefer like, okay, today is a day for errands, and the rest of the days are for drawing, you know?
So it's kind of doing something like this again out of your plans in the near future.
I don't know, because I think I would do it if I had a purpose for it, but right now I don't think of, because I already did it, right? So I'm like, I think I would do something else that is challenging. Unless because I don't know, I feel like it's one of those things like, oh, I did it once, but I don't know, like I've done Inktober twice and other like 30-day challenges, so if I feel inclined, why not? But I think I would do it like weekdays.
Yeah, like a more flexible schedule.
Yeah, because I think the thing that I really like didn't like and didn't see like a productivity reason for was drawing like on Sundays every single day and days that I needed to do other things. In that case, I thought it was counterproductive.
After cleaning the bathroom and mopping the floors.
like 5 a.m. I have to
no.
the house. Like it happened a few times.
Yeah, it sounds inconvenient.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not challenge related. Moving to another section. What are 3 things you would like to try or experience in your lifetime, art related or not?
Number 1, cocaine. No. Okay. Not art related or art related?
Both. As you wish.
That's very broad. Okay, I know one thing that I for some reason didn't experience. I never visited another country. So that visiting another country, like I wanna go to Luxembourg because I have a Luxembourgish citizenship, and yet I never been to Luxembourg.
That's crazy.
I need to go to make my passport, so it's kind of like a chore at the same time.
Oh, okay. But you can do the hard thing.
Sure. Okay, so
come on. That's the next challenge.
Next challenge, go to Luxembourg.
To get your passport, and go to Luxembourg. Like him.
I have a Brazilian passport. I need to go to Luxembourg to get my Luxembourgish one.
Yeah. That's the hard thing.
Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it at like traveling outside the country because there's many, like I would like to go to the US and meet people in other countries like Germany, Norway. So I'm gonna put that all together in like travel. That's a thinker. This is a weird one, but I'm almost 30 and I don't know how to drive. So I would like to know how to drive eventually.
Oh my god, I love you. I don't know how to drive too, and that's one of my goals this year.
Hell yeah. I think it's like
that's the next hard thing I'm doing. Learning to drive.
It's weird for people in the US because everything in the US is so like you need cars for everything. But I think probably where you live is probably similar to me, where like you don't need a car, and cars are very expensive to both buy and maintain.
Yeah.
So that's why I never learned to drive, because I'm like, I don't have a car. I don't want to have a car. It's expensive. Gas is expensive. And I walk everywhere, so it doesn't add up financially to me. So if I don't have a car, I don't know how to drive.
Yeah, I'm the same, but I mean, in this city, you do need a car, but it depends on what you do. But I have my husband, and he drives.
Oh yeah, when I lived in São Paulo, everyone drives. So I'm like,
so I didn't need it. But I think that I want to learn and have my license out of fear, but it's good fear. Kind of like I just don't like the idea of if anything happens that you can't rely on me doing that.
So wait,
I
you
don't know
don't
if that
like
makes
that?
sense.
Oh
Like
yeah, exactly. I have the same thing. Like, okay, what if like something happens and I need to drive and I don't know how to drive?
exactly.
But
Like
like, it's not an immediate problem here because like, if anything happened, like there's 3,000 neighbors. If it was an emergency, you could ask a neighbor, or you know, ambulances are free here. You know,
oh, I think
so
they are not free here. I'm not sure.
yeah, so like if something an emergency happens, usually people just call the yeah, call 911 free ride, exactly. So like I never felt the actual need because everyone drives.
Yeah, that's the same for me. It's like because I haven't had the need to.
Mm-hmm. Very
But
practical.
I don't know. That's I said this is the year I do that. I know it's
Oh
a
yeah,
hard thing for me, and
you do it.
I'm
Do
going
the
to do
hard
it.
thing.
I'm going to do the hard thing. Okay, so you said traveling, learning to drive. Well, experiencing driving. The question is things you would like to try or experience. It doesn't have to be set on stone. Is there anything else?
I want to try Vegemite.
Oh, I don't. It
I've
sounds
been
disgusting.
thinking I want to try Vegemite and Lucky Charms. Like I want to try foods that I never tried before.
Lucky Charms. I don't really like them. But
You
I've
had them.
tried them.
I don't know if I'm gonna like them. I just want to know what they taste like because I see them
Yeah, you
so
just want to
much.
try them.
Yeah, there's a lot of food I want to try. I would love to try.
That's cool. I have a question, but I think that maybe you answered it with the traveling. Like, is there any big dream that you have and that you're willing to share?
I want to try Vegemite. No, I'm kidding. Big dreams that I have and I'm willing to try. Just say
No, to share, just to
to
share with
share.
us. Like, if you want to keep it for yourself, it's okay. You don't have to answer.
I don't know. Like, do I have anything like very specific? Oh yeah, I wanna learn to play guitar better. But every time, like when you work with something that requires a lot of mental, a lot of practice, like drawing, usually that takes the first place, right? But like whenever I can, I make some time for playing guitar. Planning on getting a new amp so I can keep it downstairs here. Because I really like it's something that I don't want to die not being able to look back at me at like being 15 and not being able to tell me like I can play really fucking well and I can fucking shred. That's something I really want.
That's amazing. I also love that exercise of thinking of yourself at an old age and looking back.
Yeah,
Saying,
like right now I'm even looking at my teenage self and like
oh,
I
looking
wanna
back,
do the
exactly.
things that like there's some things that I wanted that I don't wanna die before I do it, right?
For the rock star,
Yeah.
huge.
I don't I don't think I mind the rock star stuff. But you know,
But the playing.
if the 80s come into if you know 80s hair metal goes back in fashion, maybe.
Okay, random questions. I know that your first name is not a secret, but
hmm
yet you don't use it publicly as an artist. Do you have a reason for that?
I think I'm eventually going to, probably soonish. It's because I don't know, I think I've always had the mentality of like silly game stuff, you have a screen name, like internet stuff, you have a screen name, and real stuff, you have your real name.
Hmm. Can you
So,
tell the Chad the story of how Countess Hugerinna came to be?
yes. It's a long story, but cool. So, there's a server on WoW that's called Moonguard where people go to do roleplay of the erotic variety. It's kind of legendary, like WoW realm. And I heard about it and I was like, I want to check that out. Pornshire. Yeah, Pornshire. Ever heard of Pornshire? Because there's a town like in WoW that's called Goldshire, and then like everyone goes there and like takes off their characters' clothes and dances on tables. It's completely packed, and then they just call it it's Goldshire. It's Pornshire. So I made a character. I think I was like, I'm gonna make him like the complete opposite of me. Like he's gonna be like a big buff black guy. And I think my initial thing was just like he's gonna be a priest. That's all.
Oh, okay.
And his name, I was like, okay, this is a porn term. I'm gonna call him Huge Veiny, like huge veiny penis, Huge Veiny. And then I started playing. Okay, I started walking around. Like I would log in some days and watch people watch people being weird. And one day there were a bunch of people role playing as hobos, and I was like, damn, that's fun. So I joined them, and I became a hobo in character. So Huge Veiny.
That's when you were Huge the Hobo?
Yes, that's when I became Huge the Hobo. And I had that character for like a few years. It was something that, I would go on Moonguard, and because it's such a fabled like WoW thing, a lot of people go there to just joke around too. It's a roleplay server. A lot of people do erotic roleplay, but it's not necessarily just that. So that character was there, kept doing that. And then when I started like wanting to sell my art, I think the first like the training wheels for me were like, instead of I don't think I knew, and I'm just learning this, how to position myself like professionally. So I just went to sell commissions on Goldshire. Because I was like, okay, like I think the exchange rates of the dollar favors me, so I might as well, Might as well.
Move.
Yeah, like even if I sell them for cheap, like I could work it out. And okay, so I was here to home for a while. I was like, I then started trying to sell commissions on Goldshire, because a lot of people who are role players, they like having character art of their characters, including porno art, and I was fine with that. I was able to sell that. And then like I started my art things as Huge the Hobo. So I was Huge the Hobo for like, I think maybe 2 years, 1 year and a half, something like that. And then like I made a Twitch, I made everything, like I was Huge the Hobo. And I was noticing that when I typed, people would read like in the chat like Hugo. I was like, oh man, it's a man named Hugo. I was like, okay, I don't like that. So because I have an accent, there was a guy once that a lot of people think my accent is Eastern European or Northern European. And he was like, ooh, you sound like a vampire, Countess. And I was like, I like that. This is my new identity. I was also in like a vampire vibe because of like some of the stuff on WoW was very like gothic-y, vampire-ish. I was like, hey, Countess. You could even get the title Countess. I got that on my character. That was not Huge the Hobo. But then okay, everyone knew me as Huge. But now I wanted people to know that okay, I'm not a man named Hugo. And I'm not a hobo. So I'm gonna call it like it when it's in WoW, like when you have a joke that starts getting so removed from its original place that it starts not making sense.
Yeah.
So that was it. I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, why am I a hobo on Twitch? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna call because I want to make sure that people don't call me Hugo. I'm gonna take the Huge and add like a really stupid suffix that sounds feminine. So I was like, okay, Countess Hugerinna. Okay, that sounds really stupid. Let's
like
go with
ballerina.
I think it's like, where I think I got that from? Like, I think that's a way that people usually feminize names, and I'm not sure that was so direct, but I know that that Queen clip where they dress like women.
Yeah.
I think I saw someone calling Rogerina.
Rogerina.
So I think that stuck, and I was like, okay, that's a way that people make masculine names sound feminine, right? So Hugerinna. So that's it. I think it's stupid, honestly. Like sometimes I'm ashamed. Like I can't take it seriously. I was like, okay, let's not take it seriously then.
Sometimes I'm just confused if I have to call you Countess or Huge, like Huge is what stick with me. Like
Oh,
Huge
yeah.
Arena. It sounds
It's
funny.
fine. I feel like people who call me Countess are people who don't come to the stream, and the people who come to the stream call me Huge.
The people that only see your username, right? Call you
Yeah,
Countess.
yeah. But then if you come to the stream or go on my server, you see everyone calling me Huge.
Huge. And you are huge.
Depends on the country you're from, but like where I am, yeah.
You are in
kinda.
Latin America, you're huge.
Yeah. Like I literally had a woman point at me at a store and say, "That girl is huge."
Okay, so you are 1 meter. How much? How many?
75. It's not that tall, but like
75.
75. Yeah, it's like 5'9". But in Latin America, people are short. Men are short.
Yeah.
So like
That's
it
true.
happens. Like and I live in a part of Brazil that has taller people, mind you. And sometimes I walk into a bakery and I was like, "There's 3 men here and a bunch of women. I'm the tallest person in the room, men included."
But that's an advantage in concerts.
Yeah. I remember like my mom is the same height as me. The first time I went to a concert, like she was very kind to take me to a Kiss concert as my quinceañera birthday present. She's not into that. Like she was doing it for me, and she said like there was a little woman, a normal woman. She was looking at her, and she said like, "I wish I was taller. I'm really struggling down here."
Yeah. Okay, let's do another question. What is something people assume about you that is not true?
Can you say some things that guys say things that you assume about me, and I'll say if it's true or not.
I don't know, because I've been around for so long.
Because sometimes it's weird, like thinking, because sometimes you're not aware of what people assume about you, right?
No, but you get told things like,
Okay, Local said one that's kind of people do say. He says, "I would say whip Eberron, but it's probably..." Listen, people assume I whip Eberron. Like, no shit, like my neighbor came up and he like, she keeps you up in chains there, doesn't she?
they think you're a dom?
Yeah, and they think I'm like sadomasochist or something. I'm like, listen, I was loved by my father, okay? I don't need that. No, I just offend. See, offending people. I'm very nice to. Yeah, I don't do any sort of like dom slave dynamics. Very normal people in the bedroom.
It's a lie. She's nice to me.
Because I want to say
she told him to say that.
I wanted to say like, listen, if you do BDSM, I'm just joking, okay? I'm not as, but I can't lie. If you do BDSM, I assume you have some issues. I'm sorry. Like, do I think you shouldn't do it? No, absolutely. Do whatever you can, but like, we are judgmental creatures.
Am I judgmental about it? Yes.
Yeah, what is judgmental really? It's like me having opinions about it that might or might not be wrong. Because to me, like, the bad judgment is like when you try to force someone to do something, right? But to me, it's like, listen, I'm gonna have opinions. And everyone else does. I'm just saying what other people are thinking, okay? That's something someone told me once. Like, I think you're the person who says what everyone's thinking. But that's one assumption. That is not true.
Someone in chat said that you look like someone who doesn't like sweets.
I love sweets, but
that's one.
No, I think he's got a point. because while I do like sweets, I like salty more. And when I eat, like when I eat a meal, usually, not always, but usually I need to leave the last bite to be something salty because I don't like finishing my meal with sweet taste in my mouth. But I do like sweets.
I also believe that you like hard candy, like pure sugar.
I do like. I don't have anything against it, but like after being an adult, I don't think I eat it more. I don't think I eat candy. Candy like I like gummies a lot, and I buy gummies sometimes. But I feel like it's inconvenient to eat hard candy. Takes a while.
That's true. But I do remember seeing you having a lollipop on stream.
Yeah, I was having a. My mom gave me like a couple of lollipops with my birthday present that were huge, and I like it, but it's like it literally takes like 2 hours to eat. It's so inconvenient. But yeah, I do like sweets. There's another one that I think is people assume is not true, but I forgot. Like I had it when you first asked, I had it, but I forgot. Oh yeah, people assume I'm really extroverted
Mm,
because I'm not shy.
because you talk and you
Yeah,
talk with confidence.
yeah. It's because I don't think being shy and not having confidence is the same as being introverted. Because like
Yeah,
some
I agree with
people,
that.
I don't have social anxiety, but people make me angry, so it drains me sometimes.
But I hate people.
People piss me off sometimes. And I don't like being watched all the time, you know, like I don't like being outside like where people can see me all the time. I'm like, listen, I wanna have privacy to poke my nose if I want to.
So people are surprised when they get to know that you're an introvert.
Yeah,
So they tell you like, I thought you were an extrovert.
I think that was more like when I was still talking about like, oh yeah, I think I'm an introvert. Because I think I got tired of that. You know, I think I started thinking maybe this is kind of like fashion right now. People just talking about this, and maybe I don't know if that's based off of many things.
Is there something you hear a lot of artists say that pisses you off?
Yes, like if you have questions about this, there are things that piss you off. I'm gonna have a lot. But
Yeah,
okay,
but give me examples.
I'm sure there are. Let me start thinking. Dude, I have so many. Like, everyone help me here because I'm always complaining to him about shit that I find annoying. Um, okay, that's one specifically for artists on Instagram and social media. But I got so
Yeah.
pissed when I see artists complaining like, oh, the algorithm hates us. Oh my god, everyone should love my art. Everyone should do things the way that I want. And I was like, shut up. First of all the like half of the artist trends out there, people like how can I say this? Like smelling their own farts, like it's like you're the one making the reel, right? So you go and you type as if someone else told you, oh my god, you're so good at art. And I was like, listen, how do you not get self-conscious of like making a video where you are talking to yourself and it's like you patting yourself on the back like, oh my god, you're so good. That pisses me off. What else? And people, I think people. Okay, this one is for artists, but people in general. I think people confuse like what confidence is. At least in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I feel like people sometimes are like, "Oh my god, I'm so good at this," but we need to normalize talking like this because people should have confidence. I'm like, I don't think that is confidence. I think confidence is like, I mean, if someone tells you like, "Oh yeah, you're so good," you're like, "Oh, thanks." Yeah, I studied a lot for this. That's fine, but like, oh my god, everybody, I'm so good at things, and don't tell me anything about it because I'm being confident. I'm like, I think confidence is more silent, you know. Like you are confident,
Yeah.
so you don't need to tell people like, oh my god, I'm so good.
Huh. Luckily, I haven't encountered that type.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like
Okay.
I get your point, but fortunately, I think my social media is curated enough
Oh, I'm
that
so
I don't
glad.
have those that kind of people.
Yeah.
But I probably can encounter them in Twitter.
Oh, it's very like there's so many things that piss me off. It's better we don't open that can of worms because you know. Because there
But
was
yeah,
this like
I totally agree with you about the algorithm complaint because I think people forget that social media are private companies.
yeah, and
And
also
and
people
and
forget nobody owns you anything. Also,
yeah, yeah, nobody owes you anything and they gotta make money. And if the data says that reels are the thing and that TikTok is the thing, that's what they are going to push. Like it makes total sense.
yeah, I'm like, listen, I'm annoyed at things all the time. Welcome. Like you're annoyed at reels. Welcome. There's a lot of things that are annoying in art in general, in like things that you need to do as a professional, right?
Yeah, and I think that what let me organize my thoughts. That we should be spending more time outside.
Touch grass, right?
Kind of
We need to touch grass.
like in the real artsy world. Like I think that the relying so much on social media is kind of corrupting our vision of how things are.
It's because I think there is this idea that the only thing you can do as an artist is like be social media popular, and that's more for kids, I think, like or young adults. But like, oh yeah, the only thing you can do is like you be popular in social media, and that's it. And I was like, no, there's plenty of other things to do, even on the internet. Like people still use email, you know.
Yeah.
And I've heard an artist. It was Trent Yoga on YouTube. He does a lot of Blizzard stuff. Like he's a very like industry guy. And I've seen him say like multiple times. A lot of social media artists are unemployable.
In the sense that they will never get a job.
Yeah, like it's like okay, they might have like 100,000 followers, but they don't have the skills necessary to be like an industry artist, you know. And I know
Oh,
there's
I thought they are a pain to work with.
yeah,
But yeah,
maybe true. But like even the people
maybe.
who have the skills, a lot of times are paying to work with.
That's true.
Oh, I have another one. I'm sorry you opened that can of worms, but with art, I also think one thing that annoys me is the idea is that a lot of artists have the idea that because you're doing art, you should only be doing things that are pleasant 100% of the time, and that everyone else should bow before whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I get that.
So let's
But I
move from
also
the
get
rant.
pissed off. But
Go on, go.
let me rant. Let me rant.
Go run. Okay, it's her time
Let
to
me
shine.
give you the counter.
Time for her to
Um,
shine.
but I also hate artists that tell other artists how to do things without being asked.
I
Because that's
think
the
that's
thing.
children.
If you're looking for advice and feedback, I think we as artists should be looking more for feedback from a grounded space. But sometimes there's people that give their advice just because they can, and that pisses me off. Like, shut up.
First, I would like to
Let me do things
apologize.
wrong.
I would like to apologize for constantly like accidentally interrupting you. I just talk a lot, so I'm sorry that's rude of me.
No, don't worry.
But I stop whenever I notice you're trying to talk. And second, listen, I think that's kids. Like, I think that's like you're 19 and you draw. You know, you think you know everything about the world and you don't have anything to do because you know you're 19, you don't have a job, and then you go on the internet and you're like, you know, as an artist, I think this is wrong, and I'm like, listen, do you think Kim Young-gi was on the internet giving people advice. If Kim Jong-il was gonna give advice, he would charge for it. The fact that you're giving advice there for free, unsolicited, makes me not take your advice seriously, because it is so shit that you have to give it for free, unrequested, on the internet. So you're like, no, like my opinion, no, it doesn't. You have enough time to be there. Doing that, your opinion is not that important to me.
There's also, I think, this idea that some artists have that art has to be perfect, and it's like it doesn't, and it doesn't make it any less good. And I remember seeing comments like, "Oh, you made the arm too long." And I'm like, who fucking cares? Who fucking cares if the arm is too long? Does that make her drawing less good? No, it looks amazing.
I think we're gonna be like the opposites again, in a healthy way. Because
like, you do care
about what the thing is
about anatomy being accurate.
To a certain degree, yes, I do actually. The reason why I don't like a lot of my drawings is because of the challenge, is because I was doing them really fast. But I think like there is a limit, right? That I feel like if you want to go too technical, I think you get to a point where you start like losing a bit of taste. Because like, let's say like you're trying to do something extremely realistic, right? I think that gets to a point where you're losing something by being too technical. Okay, I think that makes sense. But at the same time, like I think my profile as an artist, like my artist beliefs, are a little bit more like towards the center. I think there are things that are not necessarily like super technical that can be good, and I actually sometimes try to learn from those people. But at the same time, I'm like, I think for me, like to think something is cool, like I think there needs to be at least a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Of like technique. Maybe not always.
I get you.
Maybe not always.
This piece was really, this specific sample I gave was an stylized kind of art. It wasn't like she wasn't aiming for realism.
Yeah. Like I'm not a person who believes that like, oh, all art is art. I'm just gonna be honest, right? Like, oh, this is like just as, you know.
See, girl has opinions.
Girl has opinions. Because I think it goes with that, like, you know, doing the hard thing type of personality. Like, I think I don't like participation award thinking, right? Like, you're great just because you had the courage to appear here. I'm like, listen, that's the first step, and it's great that you took the first step, but it is the first step, right? Like, you don't get the prize just from that. You need to go a little further. You should be happy about yourself for doing the first step. Absolutely should be like, hell yeah, I did the first step. But I feel like I see a lot of people who are like, not only in art, just in general, like, you did like the bare minimum, you're great for it. And I'm like, not my type of thing, right? I'm like, you did the bare minimum, that's excellent. Like, you need to start from the start. You need to value the start. The start is very important, but it is the start. Let's go one step, 2 steps, 3 steps, and forward. The way I see life, like the purpose of life to me, personally, is evolving. So if my purpose in life, in my opinion, like from my perspective, is to evolve, to think that like, yeah, you know, anything is okay, like you're great for just participating, it goes against like my whole belief system, my whole life, you know?
Okay, I think that was my last question. If anyone in chat wants to ask anything, or if you want to keep on ranting, I don't mind.
If you want to keep on ranting, you old hag. Yeah, you know, you know how I am, right? And you gave me permission. You were like, it's great. You're gonna regret that eventually. That you said like, it's great that you talk here. But like, listen, beware of what you say, okay?
No, I really like it because I also liked, like, I also like to think of myself as open-minded. So I really like that we have different point of views and that we can disagree and agree.
We can have like a productive conversation. Because you said like, oh, you're mature. You can. I'm like, listen, there's people. If you tell me like something that I don't want to hear, there's people I'm gonna throw shit at you. I think you need to have like a good relationship with the person you're discussing with, for starters, because we're monkeys, right? If someone you hate says something, you're not gonna want to be like, oh yeah, I agree. So
Yeah,
me and you,
that's
we
true.
have this space like where we get along enough that we can have different opinions. Like
enough.
like
We get along
my
enough.
best friend, like my best girl
Girlfriend.
friend. I think it's weird saying girlfriend. It sounds like a novia. But my girl friend who's a girl, we have like the opposite political inclinations, and we can still have a civil conversation because we like each other, and like we're not gonna be like, oh yeah, because you think that I hate you, you know?
Yeah.
And
that's healthy.
That's healthy. Yeah. And it's not something you can have with everyone, because there's people that are like, listen, if you don't agree with me, I'm not gonna like you. With anyone. But I don't know, I feel like everything that we talk about here, I feel like we can disagree. It's not something that is a problem.
Are you seeing what I'm doing?
That me?
Or yeah, that's you.
Oh, she's drawing. Oh, and I feel bad that I'm not drawing you. It's Shrek.
No. This is your interview.
It's Shrek. I love it. It's so good. I want to, when you finish that, please post it.
I'll put it on Discord.
This is lovely. Thank you so much. It's so good. It feels so good to be drawn. And thank you. You made me thin.
I was like, I don't know how your body is, to be honest. But like I can make you fat if you want.
Yeah, give me like a Burger King treatment.
Like a big booty.
You're drawing me more thin than I am, but like keep it that way, please. I like it that way.
Aren't you Brazilian? I should.
Yeah, but like my genes are German.
But my genes are not.
So like I don't think there's much of a reputation for like that kind of ass. But no, but yeah, I'm fine for keeping going, because as I said, like streaming with someone else for me is the most fun stream that you're gonna have.
Yeah, it's fun. Time flies.
Yeah, I'm like, Jesus, it's been what,
2 hours.
Yeah, no, just true.
Just 2 hours, but still.
So I would like to keep talking about the thing we were opposites in, because I think it's productive for us to.
Yeah. Which one do you want to pick up?
I feel like you're more inclined on the like kindness side, and I'm more inclined on like the hard ass side. Yeah. So I would like us to take these positions.
And Balmon asks, why of all things Shrek? Because she loves Shrek. It's her childhood beloved character. Because Shrek is love, Shrek is life, Shrek is amor, Shrek is vida.
So yeah, I'm very interested. Like, let's do this. Like I feel like we naturally do have like the opposite sides and that stuff about art. Like I feel like you're more like caring, kind, and I'm more like, you do this shit, get it done.
You do this shit. Stop whining.
Get that shit done. You get, like, unless your arms fell off, go draw. Oh, Loco was actually saying something nice about me for a change, so I'm gonna read it because it's like rare. Because we were talking about that subject, and he said people that don't put after on your craft are not deserving of praise for huge because she puts the effort. Well, that's his words, not mine, okay? But it's something that I praise. I do praise like discipline and hard work, right? So when I see people have that, that's something that I think is great. And I'm like, oh, good job. Like, I appreciate that in people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm going to tell you something. I think that the reason I tend more to kindness is because that's what I need to tell myself. Because I am hard with myself and with how I go about with things.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, so I tend to be like rigid or stiff with my art. So what I have to work on is getting loose and having fun and doing the things that I love but that I'm afraid to show. So I think that's why I go towards that end.
That's so interesting.
And express that part. Because I also am judgmental about artists that go and half-ass things. It's not enough to just show up. Like, you have to put the effort.
But that's so interesting to me because I feel like that makes sense because, like, I'm gonna give another example. Like, I feel like the body positivity thing nowadays that people are very like, oh, bodies are beautiful and things like that. As a hard ass, you can imagine what I think about that, right? But I think I don't like it because I don't need it. Because it's not something I'm like, I'm not fat, but
you're not the target audience.
I'm not thin either. Like I have an imperfect body too, and I'm like, who cares, right? Who the fuck cares? If someone said to me like, oh, you're not in shape, I'm like, I am in shape, a ball shape. I don't care.
I have a shape.
I don't care much about it, right? It's not something like I love drawing like super how do I call that? Like super what word? Like, like I idealized people. I love drawing super idealized people because to me it's like, well, it's art. I want to draw like what I think is like almost inhuman, it's like an inhuman level of perfection because this is art, so I want something like almost fantasy, right? But like I don't feel bad about my body because I see like this idealization. So to me, when I see people like, remember that you're beautiful in any shape, I'm like, I don't vibe with that, right? To me, it's like, yeah, whatever. Like they need to.
Yeah, but it's as you said, it's because you don't need that message.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I'm thinking. Like, so maybe with art, it could be the same thing. Like I do judge a bit. I think sometimes I'm like, oh, this sucks, but I never feel like I put myself like very down for shit. I feel like I'm always like, oh, you're fine. Like you're gonna learn. No, don't worry, right? When I do the hard shit, I feel like it's good for me, right? While when
it's
you
rewarding.
Do, yeah, when you are kind to yourself, it's because like you would otherwise be much harsher on yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's very interesting, like where both of those things come from. So bringing that back to art, I feel like my experience is more like, as I said, like I feel like there's moments that I feel very unsatisfied and I don't feel great and all that stuff. But I think my like I don't know if I ever go to a place of like actual self hatred. I'm always very I want the best for myself. So when I do the things in a hard way, I'm like, this is for me, not against me. Like this is not a punishment. This is something for me to have a better life.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that for me, that's the gym right now.
The what? The gym?
The gym, like working out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I need to.
It's like I'm doing this for me. It's not enjoyable. Like I've been into exercise my whole life. Like I started dancing ballet at 7 years old. And since then, I think the longest time I didn't exercise was now with the pandemic, that I stopped exercising for 2 years. It was too much for me. But and people always had this idea of me like, oh my god, you love exercising so much, you're so fit. And I was like, I don't enjoy it. It's not something like, I like the way I feel after I go to the gym. I really enjoy that part. But while I'm there, it is hard. And I think that recognizing that it is a hard thing makes it easier. Like I don't tell people, oh, you're going to love going to the gym. No, no, you don't.
Oh, you know, it's so funny that you say that, because it's fascinating to me, the opposites, because a lot of times to me, like, diminishing the thing that I'm doing is what helps. It's like, listen, you know what I told myself when I didn't feel like drawing stuff? I was like, you're literally like just sitting down and moving a pencil around. There's people out there who go to war. How dare you think that drawing is hard? There's people who have jobs where they can get killed, or they can kill people accidentally, like a doctor. And you're drawing, and you think this is hard? This is what I tell myself. I'm like, how dare you? And that helps me put things in perspective.
I don't know if you heard of this concept of productive negativity.
I can imagine what it is.
But it is also a tool that you can use, like that you can be negative about things.
I think that's what I do.
That can push you forward.
Yeah, like, how dare you? Like, how you? I think. Oh, you asked me what makes me angry about other artists. I think sometimes I got angry like that. I'm like, why are you making so much drama? You are like drawing for a living. Like, stop complaining about that stupid
Your
algorithm.
privilege.
Yeah,
it's
like,
a privilege.
You want it to be even easier, and obviously that's not completely true, because like learning to draw is hard, right?
Yeah,
like, it's something that takes like decades sometimes. But I don't know. I think like just diminishing, like, hey, listen, like, you're just like, literally just drawing, whatever. When I started the challenge, like, especially the beginning, when you have like that daunting task of like 300 days more, it's like you're like, how am I gonna do like 365 days? And I was like, you literally just need to draw. Drawing is not hard. And you know something? I don't think I have ever been like, I haven't been burnt out with drawing in the longest time. People were asking me, "Oh yeah, but like you're burning yourself out with that challenge." I'm like, no, actually not.
Sometimes I do think, like, when I'm well, since I work from home and I'm alone most of the time, something that I do when I'm not able to do something, or when I'm taking too long, is screaming drama, and I say drama to myself, and I recognize that I'm having drama. I'm like, I'm just having drama. But a useful question that I use that's similar to the drawing isn't hard is, what if this was easy?
Oh, that's Brooke, right? Or like Stacy, or one of them?
No, I think that I got that from Tim Ferriss. But yeah, it's one of the useful questions in the coaching world.
Yeah, because I've heard somebody talking about that. What if this was easy? But maybe they were quoting him.
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's the thing I was talking about, is like a kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if this was easy? It's like me, I'm already telling myself this is easy. Like, you're just drawing. Like, you're not in fucking Desert Storm. You're just drawing. You're not driving a truck away from your family for 6 months. You're not in war. You're not in a high risk profession. You're not working under the scorching sun. You're drawing.
You don't have a child.
Yeah, you don't have a child. But like, at the same time, like, you gotta be careful, because Like, you need to be aware that you're using that for you. Because if you think that way when, let's say, you go negotiate a piece of art, then that's not productive. Like, when you go negotiate, you need to think that your ability is, like, the hardest shit ever.
Yeah, you gotta think that this is hard. You are worth $1 billion and behave professionally. I think a lot of artists struggle with professionalism. Like,
I agree
believing that their craft is a profession.
Oh, you're saying it more nicely. I'm more like, I think artists struggle with not being fucking babies that act like stupid children all the time. Sorry, but sometimes, like, I see the way people talk and I'm like, listen,
you're being the yin and yang.
You're like 42. Stop talking like you're 12. We are the yin and yang. We're being opposites for fun.
And we are being opposite for fun because whenever I said something like really serious, like centered, then you go like, I don't know, and then I do the opposite for you, and that's amazing.
It's balance.
It's balance.
It's balance. What did I just say before that?
You were talking about artists behaving like children.
Oh yeah. Like I think they are both from the same thing, right? People struggle to be professional because they struggle with believing that they are actual professionals.
Worth something. Yeah.
Probably something along those lines.
Yeah, and there's a lot of complaints around clients. I see a lot too that I don't really like.
I don't like that either.
Because I think we have shaped them that way. Like, clients don't treat you with respect or with professionalism because artists do not respond with professionalism. And
I was thinking about something else when you said that, because one thing that I see a lot, like on Twitter specifically, and I've had people who were my clients like confide in me about having that problem with artists, is that you have some artists who sell commissions, they sell work, and then they go on their pages and they're like, I'm struggling with mental health, that's why your commissions are late, okay? And that makes me so pissed, because I'm like, listen, if your arms are still attached, you finish that commission. Someone paid you for that. Someone gave you, like, had confidence in you that you would provide this service for him or her, and you're there, like, using your problems to, like, oh, I'm not doing this. Listen, sometimes it happens, and do what you have to do. But I think it puts the client in such an uncomfortable position. If you go and you're like, okay, but like I ordered this and like I paid and that was our agreement, like, oh my god, you're not taking her mental health into consideration. I'm like,
yeah, then you are the asshole as a client.
You are the asshole, and I'm like, no, you're not. Like you had an agreement and the other party did not do that, right?
It also comes back to the professionalism that they are not having the conversation with the client; they are having the conversation publicly on social media.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, like
why?
I don't trust that, honestly. I don't like that. I don't like that aspect of social media. Like Locos just said, like like when you say I'm struggling with mental health, commissions closed, and I will refund the commissions. You do that, right? Like, I know that there are extreme cases, but like I see so many people with that thing of like, I ordered a commission from so and that person like didn't talk to me for 2 months. And I'm like, that's not right. Like, if someone is paying you, treat that thing with like respect and professionalism.
It's also respect for your craft.
Yeah, I agree. So is that what you meant with teaching clients to treat you that way?
No, but that was a good point. That was, you were more like in client perspective, but that's also a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking more about
low prices.
Like, you want your client to treat you a certain way, but when they don't, I don't think you should keep on with it. And I
think
think
with
that artists
anything,
always
right?
keep on with it.
Like with people in general, like you teach people how they can treat you, right?
Yeah.
That's why, like, you go on my stream. You went when I was streaming more a lot, and you saw the way that I deal with people that I don't accept a lot of shit, and it's because of that. Because I'm like, I think you teach people what they can do to you. So if someone comes in and like starts acting in a way that I'm not gonna tolerate, I'm not gonna tolerate it. Because if I tolerate it, that's how everyone's gonna treat me.
And that's the things that are going to keep on happening with other people that come in.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's like people see the way that you accept. I think we all sometimes don't like to be the person who starts like steering the pot when something like that happens. A lot of people like to save the awkwardness. But to me it's like if I see somebody being extremely obnoxious and the streamer doesn't do anything, I think it's worse. I've also had the opposite problems where like people kept constantly complaining like, oh, so and so is doing this to me, so and so is doing this to me, and then you go and like you moderate and you're like, hey, so and so, please don't do that. And then so goes and does it again, and the person's like being super receptive and like sending hearts, and I'm like, dude, like for the love of God, like if you don't want somebody to treat you like that, why are you acting like that? Like all friendly and shit. Like you put your foot down and you're like, I don't like that. At least don't respond.
I would
Honestly,
say
yeah.
trauma.
Drama. You're
No,
being a
trauma.
drama. Trauma?
Trauma. Yeah, I think it's a trauma response.
Ah, trauma response.
Yeah, like the fear of confrontation and let me be nice in front of everyone, not make a fuss.
You know, fear festers, so the best thing you can do is get that shit out as soon as possible. So if
That's true.
if you're afraid of confrontation, go confront somebody. This milk is spoiled.
Exposure therapy.
I'm very exposure therapy type person. That's how I act towards myself. Like I'm like, you don't want to do that? Well, let's do it. Let's do it. Very publicly. In front of everybody. But it works. Like it so let's say like confronting people or doing something so and so is uncomfortable to you, right? So you go and you stay in your comfort zone. If you stay in that comfort zone, it's always gonna be small, your comfort zone. And like, I think it even shrinks. I think you start getting less and less comfortable with it. But if you go and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna do this shit, you're expanding your comfort zone. So like in the future, you're gonna be comfortable there. Or at least like you're gonna be comfortable in many other places that were not comfortable before. Even if that one thing is still uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's true. Getting uncomfortable is a skill.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. You get used to it.
And it is a skill that you can lose.
Oh, and that's the point of doing hard things.
And
It's
that's
you're flexing the muscle.
Yeah, what else did we disagree but agree?
I don't know, I think the biggest thing was that like not comfort, but the like harshness versus kindness.
The kindness versus yeah. But it all boiled down to our experiences and what we need.
Yeah, what works for us, right? Because and I think even that like sometimes changes. Sometimes I need to be kind on myself, and I'm sure sometimes you need to be harsh on yourself.
Yeah. Sometimes I need to say, grow up, hair, stop complaining, drama.
I love talking like that's what I don't have. Grow up hair. Grow up hair.
A thought that has helped me lately also is that I don't know. I see that sometimes we compared a lot to other people, and for me it was like just like unproductive, kind of like just having pity for yourself. I see for the most part, and something that I started asking myself whenever I compare is like, are you doing what they are doing? Like, are you putting the effort?
Yeah.
So stop complaining. It's like, you don't know the hard work they are putting that get them the results they have.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much we don't see. Like earlier you mentioned email. Like we don't see the amount of emails people are sending
Mm-hmm.
to get their jobs they're getting.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we go like and straight compare ourselves to what someone shares on social media?
I think one thing that helped me was that like that movement of like industry artists in Brazil that I used to follow a lot. Like a lot of them would show their stories and there is one guy, the same guy, the digital painting guy. He would show like his folders when he used to study, and it like the amount of work was absurd. Just sheer amount of work was absurd. So I was like, how can I possibly expect to know what this guy knows if I'm not putting in the same amount of work he is? Like not
Yeah.
even close, right?
And that's unfair with yourself, you know, like beating yourself up over something you're just not doing is kind of absurd.
Beating yourself for not being on that level yet.
Yeah,
Because
if you're not putting the effort,
yeah,
it's
and
unproductive. It's just
I think
unproductive.
I think it goes to the other side of even becoming a bit entitled. Like you think you're entitled to be this good when you haven't put in all this work,
Yeah.
right? Well, like pushing that a little bit to the harsh side. Like you think you're entitled to this? Do you know what these hands have done? These filthy hands have done.
You don't deserve shit.
Yeah. So good. But it's so, I don't know, I think it's so freeing at the same time when you realize that kind of shit.
Exactly. Yeah, you put yourself in control in what you can actually control.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Instead of feeling bad for yourself.
We were having that talk about talent the other day, right? But I think anyone who's an artist already doesn't have that, unless it's like a really young artist.
Mhm.
Because if we end up like if you end up thinking about people who are talented naturally in art, I'm like, shed that before you get into art, okay? Your first assignment, stop thinking that.
Stop thinking talent exists.
Yeah, because it's completely unproductive in art. I don't know how sports is, but art, no.
And in sports is different because you're limited by your
Body, yeah.
your body. And even with art, that could be true to a certain extent.
But
you have to take care of your body.
It needs to be very extreme. Like you need to be like even people without arms can draw with their feet or mouth, right?
Yeah, and even people that get what is this called? The one that gives you the tremors.
Yeah, because if you
Parkinson,
think about
they just accept they have a new way of doing things, and they make shaky art.
Did you ever see the guy? Like it was, I saw it on a reel on Instagram the other day. There was a guy who made like he would sketch using a typewriter. So he would make the marks.
I think
on the
I
paper.
saw that.
So I'm like, okay, you can press a button, you can make art. Like, you know, and I'm not talking about AI, okay? But
no,
you can press a button, you can make art. So I think like the limitations for you to not be able to make art need to be so extreme that it's like you don't even need to consider that unless you're like very like extreme situation.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that, for example, because I need kindness for myself, that's what I express on social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my last post about it was something about your art doesn't have to be likable.
Mm-hmm.
And it got into the wrong people. Like there was a group of people that I wanted for it to see it, but on Twitter, that post was super popular with the AI bros, and I was like, okay, no, this wasn't meant for you. No, you don't get to like this thing I wrote. Like I fucking hate it.
That's why Okay, that's one of the many reasons why I avoid, like, I went a bit more controversial with you here, and I go a bit more controversial on Twitch because it's a small community. But I don't, I really avoid going controversial on Twitter because when I think Twitter like does that on purpose, like they boost posts that look controversial out of context just to get people to fight, to get engagement. And like, how can you discuss something like out of context? Like, there's how many characters on a Twitter post? That's too small context. So I try to avoid like controversial shit on Twitter, and I try to remind myself when I see something that really annoys me on Twitter. I'm like, probably the person who wrote this might not have meant it this way.
Yeah, that's
It's a
what happened to
possibility.
me. But yeah, I didn't wrote that for them, and I was
They're like,
a
oh
bit pissed
no.
off. Like, no.
And you pissed off like the soft artists. Yeah, man, like it's wild. You can really reach the wrong people. It's like if I go on Twitter and I write something that's like anti-feminist, and like the guys who like Andrew Tate start liking, I'm like, no, that's not for you
Oh,
either.
no.
I don't like you either.
Yeah.
If anything, like
Because
I would, if anything, I would have you and the feminists like go together against each other. What did you want to say?
I don't know. Remember?
But yeah, it's the same feeling. I'm like, no, it's not for you. That's not what I meant.
Oh, I was going to say that it's just that people take things as black and white also.
Oh,
Like,
but
no,
that's
there's
human
there's
nature.
nuance in everything. Yeah, on Twitter especially.
Yeah, but that's like, I don't like Twitter because that does that to me. Like, I get angry for that. So like, damn, like it's engineered for that, to bring out the worst in us.
Yeah, it's a place to go rant.
Yeah, and I'm like, I hate this because it's so ironic. Like, I'm so ranty, and I hate seeing people rant. I'm a fucking hypocrite.
And we still go there. That's the worst part.
We still go there because it's like, I'm bored. I like Twitter for arts though, because I think the way that the social media is made, like it's made for sharing, so you can go very far, very easy. Maybe not very easy, but you can like get a boost.
Yeah, it's nice to discover other people.
Because I feel like
Like a
Instagram.
bunch of Chinese artists, you can't read their handle, but
Oh. But you were talking about how you talk to others like you would talk to yourself. I think I talk to others how I would. No, I think I tend to be more kind because I don't think people are gonna. I mean, I'm still not super kind, but I tend to be a little bit more. Like, I try to word my things better, but sometimes I'm just like, buckle up, Buttercup, go do that shit. Like the other day, I was talking to a girl like about perspective, and no, it was about proportions. Like, I was kind of helping her out with proportions, and she was like, this is math. I hate math. I'm like, listen, art without math is for hippies. Learn this.
and sometimes people don't realize how learning things that you are not really interested in help you create the things you really are interested in.
Oh, that's like the first problem that you have whenever you try to teach anyone art. Like, listen, you get to draw dragons after you draw this ball.
Yeah.
And I mean, for one side, I'm almost like, can you blame them, really? Because they're like, oh, I want to draw a cool dragon. Yeah, draw this ball first.
And what do you think about art block? Because I don't believe in art block.
Oh, we're finally on the same side. I believe. Listen, what I think about art block is just. It's not art block. It's like a life block. If something like is bothering, like that's not an art block. That's a life problem, right?
Yeah, or our emotional problem.
Yeah, like I'm always like, I don't get art block, I get life block. How do I explain that? I'm like, because I think you got the gist. It's like, it's not just art. Like, if I don't want to make art, is another, it's probably for another whole problem.
Yeah, because you have things going on in life that are occupying your headspace.
Yeah, yeah. And then like you probably when you have, I'm gonna be like the person again as I'm always. And I think whenever I see people talk about art block, like I feel like it's childish to me, to be honest. It's like something that like Tumblr kids were 17 making fanfiction talk about. Because I'm like, one time there was a person who I don't think that guy ever came back to my stream, but he was like, "Oh my god, I have such art block," and I was like, "I cannot afford to have art block." Because I'm like, I looked at the art and I'm like, listen, you're obviously like probably like either a late teenager, late teenager, or young adult who's doing art for fun. Why are you complaining about art block? You don't need to draw. If you don't want to, like, if you're like, oh my god, I don't want to draw. Don't draw! You don't need to draw. It's not your profession. Do you go to art school and you need to turn in assignments? No, you're drawing for fun. Don't draw. What's the drama?
That's also why I say art block doesn't exist. Because every single time I work for a client, I'm never blocked. So
Yeah,
how
see?
can it possibly be
Yeah, it's
that
not.
when I need to be creative, I'm creative? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's because it's
after
not real.
that's why I said like that's probably why I feel like it's like a Tumblr kid type of like child type of thing. Like, yeah, you have art block because you don't have to draw. You do that for fun, and then it's not being fun for you right now, and then you don't want to do it because it's a hobby, and you think there's something wrong. And I'm like, no, you don't need to do it right now. You don't have a profession. You don't have a job. You don't go to art school. You don't have assignments. If you're a hobbyist, you do it when you feel like it. What's the hold up? What's the drama about it?
Be brutally honest with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's a thing that they see other people think. I think, okay, I think a better way of putting this. I think art block is when people want to draw.
Mm.
When you are professional, you don't need to want anything. You just have to do it.
You have
Just
to
do
do
it.
it.
Right? As you said, like you never have art block when you have a client. So like you're when you're saying I have art block, like you're wallowing on that thing of like I want
I
to
want to
draw,
want.
but I don't want to. Well, like why? What's the drama? Just don't.
I also think it can happen to people that want to want, but also maybe you do want to draw, but you just have too much judgment about what to do. Because it's like, if you just want to draw, then draw anything. Just make a ball, just make whatever is in front of you. But what blocks you is thinking that I have to make a masterpiece, or I have to make something original, or I have to make, I don't know.
You're right. Like you get art block from wanting to draw good.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's when I stopped having art block. When I stopped thinking that I needed to draw good.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, you're right. Like,
Sometimes you just have to stop yourself from thinking and just do it. Like for example, during the convention, I was making commissions like real time, and I was like, come back in 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. I was like, I have to do it. I don't have an option to think about this. I have to come up with something and do it in an hour.
are you? Oh, I have a nice question. Are you like a artist who likes to draw fast, or you like to draw to take your time? Like, what are you more comfortable with? Are you more comfortable with like quick drawing, or like something that you can take a lot of time?
I think I'm more comfortable doing things fast, but not so fast.
Oh,
But I find
what's
it
fast? Let's
interesting.
define what's fast.
Like under 8 hours. I think that 8 hours is the kind of time frame that I like.
Oh, okay.
I would say
Because
that's fast.
okay, I think I know where we're coming from because to me fast is like 15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like not so fast.
Because I'm struggling right now with like my tendency is to draw fast, and so when you draw fast, like you have the excuse that you're drawing fast, right? And you see what I'm doing right now, right? Like I'm fully trying to render something, and I'm like
Yeah,
I'm so
it's looking
impatient.
amazing.
Oh, thank you. I'm so impatient, and and now my goal is to overthrow my impatience. I'm like, I need to spend time on this, because when you spend time on something, you can't be like, oh yeah, it's just a quick sketch, whatever. Just a quick sketch for my challenge on Instagram. I drew it in 10 minutes.
Mm.
It's like, no, give it time. Give it time. Let it
So now
marinate.
for you, the hard thing to do is to
Patient.
be patient and work
Yes.
on. You know, there's a challenge called Slowember.
Really? I only
Yeah.
know No Nuts November. Oh, I also know November.
Or no shave member, I think, something like that. Um,
Yeah.
no, but there's this guy that came up with this challenge called Slowember. I don't even remember the guy, but the idea was to create one art piece that you worked on for a month.
Ah.
That was a challenge. So you just end up with something at the end of the month, but you have to work on it the full month.
Is this one of those challenges that came as a kind of like after Inktober? Because I know November was
Yeah.
for because you draw with just ink, a lot of black in October, then like November you draw with color. Is it like because Inktober you have to draw every day, and then Slowember you need to draw like one drawing?
Like a slow. Yeah, I think it's because of that.
Loco asked me if I ever drew as a hobby after I started working with drawing, like mean doing it, feeling like we're doing it as a hobby. Oh, I think what you mean is like drawing for myself, right? Like drawing something just because I need because I want to. Yeah, all the time. In fact, I'm drawing this because I want to. But
Yeah, me
I
too,
don't know
all
if
the
that's
time.
what you. I don't know if that's what you mean. But when you draw, the funny thing about being an artist professionally is that like you do for profession what you also do for fun. So sometimes you're drawing for fun, and sometimes you're drawing professionally.
Same for me.
Baby's here. She's like, yeah, she used to draw dicks on my notebooks at school. Baby still has a bunch of the dicks I used to draw for her. Hi, baby.
Oh, that's so sweet. She kept your drawings like a proud parent.
Yeah, baby was like my parent, because I drew for her and she kept it in a box. I don't know if you still have it. I heard of people
Do
that
your parents support you, by the way?
now they
Like,
do.
okay, now that you have proven yourself.
I'm gonna describe my dad's attitude towards art. Me, when I was like 19 or 20, I bought like a Copic case, and Copics are very expensive. I was like, why are you spending this much money on something that you do as a hobby? My dad now, oh my god, you're so good.
You're actually
How
good.
do you do that? I'm so proud of you, and I'm like, you're so cute. You're so precious. All right, let me see your art before we finish.
This is what I have.
Oh, it's me. It's thin me. It's so nice. Like I don't think I ever had anybody draw me, so it's so.
I'm
Like,
going to go like this.
This is why people buy commissions, right? It's like it's so much fun to see
Make her
someone
fat.
else make her fat.
Well, it's time to go. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Huge.
Thanks everybody on Franz stream who stayed. I hope you guys have a great night. Fran, thank you so much for interviewing me. It was nice to learn.
Thanks to you for accepting.
Thank you. It was nice to learn about you too.
Yeah, it turned into a conversation in the end, but that was fun.
A lot of fun. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.